Hey everyone, this is Lucas from Enviral Design, and this is video number 8 in the GeoPix LED Pixel Mapper walkthrough guide. Alright, this is probably the last video in the series. I may make some more videos that come later just to do more general kind of workshops on the abstract workflow of designing animations and pixel maps and all that stuff, but this is the last video going over the actual UI and the actual software. Here we have the Settings tab. And you've seen this several times in previous videos. I've bounced over here to explain a few things, and I just want to go through everything one more time and talk some in depth about the device configuration settings area. So over here in general settings, we have folder paths for every single save export feature in GeoPix. So panel definitions is what you save from here. From the panel editor. So when you define LEDs, define border, and export with a name, this is where it's saved. So next we have Smart Clips, which if you're working in the Smart Clips editor here, whatever you save from here, whether it be Smart Clip or Effect, gets exported to the disk into this folder. Device layouts are something you save from the Pixel Map editor, and everything that you have assigned to your pixel controllers and your strip chains and all of your strips and your panels and all that stuff and all the locations of them and where they are and a few other settings is saved to disk under the names that you have specified here. So if you have devices 0 and 1 active and you have a name here and a name here, which you usually will, when you save device layouts, hit this button, it will save a text file for every device into this folder. So if we open up this folder just to show you, we have a few definitions here. The number is so I can just remind you, as I mentioned this once before, but the number in front is the device number. This will be added programmatically. So even if your device name is just Backyard Panels, for example, it will be device 0 underscore the name here, Backyard Panels. So when you recall, we want to load devices, make sure you just copy the name and not the number and underscore, paste it here. And when you load device layouts, it will automatically load that for you. So, moving on, oops, put this back. We have, notice when you copy paths from Windows Explorer, it's going to reverse the paths. This shouldn't actually matter, it should be fine either way, but when you load it from here, it straightens them back out. So you can load it from here, but I think it works either way. Pixel masks folder, these are things you can export from here. So when you're selecting your pixel masks and you get exactly what you want, you can type in a name, export mask, and it gets saved to this folder. Pixel maps are very similar. When you type a name here and you export pixel map, which is a flattened map, it's not the same as saving your device layout. It's a flattened map that you can use in the Smart Clip editor. It gets saved to this folder. Playlists folder is of course the folder that exports, is where your exports are saved in the automator. So when you type in a name and export playlist, it gets saved to this folder. Okay, so Viz chords table is an advanced setting that I have not covered. It's experimental and only mess with it if you know what you're doing. But if you have the ability to generate your coordinates in another application and you want to do so, you're more than welcome to, because you are limited in the visualizer to the coordinates specified in the panel editor. Now you're going to notice here that in my preview I have this arch which is three-dimensional in nature, and that's because I generated my points in another piece of software, and let me show you that real quick. This is beyond the scope of GeoPix, of course, but if you want to do this, you're more than welcome to. Let's see, 3. Notice how my coordinates, this is my panel definition, are tab separated X, Y, and Z. This third column is Z. if we open up, let's just do, I think this one is two columns. So you can format it either way. When you draw stuff out in the internal panel editor, it's going to be two-dimensional, and of course you can't draw the third dimension anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But just know the software GeoPix does support a third Z channel, which only comes into play when it comes to previewing stuff in your 3D visualizer. Now this has nothing to do with viz chords, I'm getting to that, but just know that you can save your own panel definitions if you know what you're doing, and include that third dimension, and that third dimension will show up in your visualizer, which if you're doing an art installation, this is very useful because, as you know, you can rotate your panels here, your geo groups, but you're still limited to what you can do. This is not a full 3D editor, it's not meant to be. It's just meant to give you a rough approximation of a layout that represents what you're trying to do. So viz chords table, it allows you to basically create a single text file. It has to be formatted the same way as this, XYZ. You basically need to generate a table that looks like this. And this table will just be a table of XYZ coordinates, and it will represent every single point that you have in your entire pixel map. So this requires a little pre-planning. Normally GeoPix takes care of all this work for you in the background. So for example, let's take just pixel controller 0 for instance. We have 8 outputs, right? So each output has 400 pixel limit, which we've set here. And so that means every single output has 400, so that's 400 times 8. So we have 400 times 8. 3,200 pixels, so that's 3,200 XYZ coordinates. So this would be 0, this would be 1, 2, so on and so forth. So to use viz chords, you need to generate a table like this that has pretty much 400 points per signal chain. Now the caveat is if you have an empty one like number 7, or really it's number 8 if you're counting from 1, this will not have anything in it. GeoPix is optimized to not fill those points in the visualizer with empty coordinates. So for every single signal chain that is full or has even one panel, you have to include 400 pixels worth for that channel. So there's a little bit of trickiness in ordering your coordination points here, or your preview points. You have to insert dummy pixels. So if you have, let's find an example. Let's say we have here on strip 0, we have just one panel. So as you see, we have 100 out of 400 LEDs used. What happens internally is we have 100 pixels, and then number 101 to 400 are filled with dummy pixels. And as you can actually see here, well, if we go over to mask, you can see we have this weird pixel that's just chilling over here at 0, 0. This is intentional. This is basically the dummy pixels. There's a whole lot of pixels stacked on top of each other. And as LED communication goes, you have to have these inside your data packet so that your other LEDs are in the right place in terms of the byte order and all that stuff. So this is also inherently part of the preview. So when you create a viz table, it's really important to realize that, where were we? That you have to include all the dummy pixels that you are not necessarily mapping. So here we have, again, 100 pixels. You need to have 101 to 400 mapped out. They can be anything, doesn't matter, because you won't really see them. Well, actually, you will see them in the visualizer. You need to have them just be 0, 0, 0. So again, that's why I put advanced, because this is an advanced table. You're kind of having access to a behind-the-scenes part of the software, which is normally taken care of and automated by the front end. So if you have need for that, feel free to experiment. You're not going to hurt anything by experimenting. Just make a bunch of coordinates and lay them out however you like. Import them and just experiment. You'll figure it out very quickly what you have to do to get the pixels in the right place. And you can create all kinds of crazy shapes for your your 3D visualizer. So that is viz chords. All right. So here we have panel rotation increments and camera zoom increments. These are controlling the increments at which we zoom and, of course, at which we rotate panels. Pretty self-explanatory. Sampling resolution, really important. I'm not sure if we've covered this. Because LEDs that you might use with GeoPix are going to be typically a little bit lower res, unlike projection mapping and other forms of mapping where you need that resolution to be 1080p because it just looks a lot better. With GeoPix and with LEDs, you don't typically need that resolution. So by having that extra resolution, you're eating up a lot of performance that's not necessary all the time. Now, you may have a situation where you do need that extra resolution. So if your smart clips are 1080p, just know that before they hit the pixel mapping engine and onwards, they are being downsampled to 960 by 540, which is default software. You can set this to anything you want, but be aware that if you increase this, you're going to take a big chunk of performance away. And also, if you want to decrease this, you can also increase performance. So if you have a pixel map that's just a few panels and it's a really small layout, this is a big layout, setting this to like a smaller number that, you know, keep the aspect ratio the same, you can speed up your sampling rate considerably and your frame rate respectively. Let's go ahead and close notifications for a sec. All right, so panel creator settings, we've gone over this before. This basically just changes your grid settings preview in here. Okay, so device configuration. Let's take a look at this. You have 4 devices currently. You may have more in the future. We're starting with 4. Let me know if you need more than that, and I'll definitely consider adding that sooner than later. We have a drop down. These are your presets for devices. So we have 3 main protocols supported. We have serial over USB, which is specifically for the teensy, but if you have, say, an Arduino Mega or something else and you're using that instead, you can set the baud rate to 9600 or whatever you want out of this drop down, and it should still work. But keep in mind, you'll need to follow our Arduino setup guide on the website, GeoPix, enviraldesign.geopix.com/geopix.com for the guide, and make sure that the formats match. And I even have some Arduino code on there that you can use or at least look at to get an idea of how you should format your own code. Again, that's advanced. If you're using the Teensy 3.1 specifically, you can literally download the Arduino code and directly upload it to your Teensy, and you're good to go immediately, no modification necessary. So aside from that, we have LEDscape plus BeagleBone Black. Now this is a long preset name, but basically it's using OPC, which is Open Pixel Control, which is an Ethernet network-based protocol. It's very straightforward. It's built into GeoPix, so all you have to do is have a device that's configured. Again, if you've messed with LEDscape, you probably already know how to set this up. If you haven't, it's a bit more setup required on the side of the BeagleBone. If you haven't ever used that before, it can be kind of daunting, but no worries. There's lots of good guides online. Check out rgb123.com. They have a lot of great products along this line. Lastly, we have the Pixlite 4 and 16 plus ArtNet. These are presets specifically for the Pixlite, but feel free to modify these to suit your needs. Maybe you're using a different device that's also ArtNet controlled. This is a very generic ArtNet module, so you can use whichever one is closer to your preset, and then just modify it down. So number of strips, if you're using something with 8, feel free to change that. Number of strips, it can be 10, it could be whatever. They have different limits that are inherent to these devices. You'll notice the Pixlite 16 caps off at 340. Pixlite 4, less outputs, can't go above 4, but you can go up to 680 number of LED strips. This is again built-in limits for these profiles. If you need something different, or if you have a device that's not in this list and you'd like it in this list, please let me know. Let me know what its limits are. If you have a link to the documentation on that device, shoot me an email with that information, and I'll get that integrated as soon as I can. Last but not least, any of the devices that use ArtNet, this is a very important aspect, is the pin mapper. By default, when you select this, your pin mapper will not be set up correctly, and so if you turn on your LEDs and you enable your device here, you're not going to be getting anything that looks right. Your your data is going to be in a jumble. And let me show you why. So here we've got 4 strips and 680 per strip. And Pin Mapper, this is only available in the Pixelite ArtNet devices because you may want to shift this around depending on what you have connected. Again, you have 4 outputs and 4 specified here, so we have pins 0 through 4, or 1 through 4 here. So these are offsets. You have universe and channel offsets. Right now, as you can see, they're all offset to the same, and if you look at these guides over here, these are just kind of concatenations of what you have set here that show you what your outputs are set to. So pin 0 is trying to send information to 0, 1, 2, 3, and pin 1 is also trying to send information to 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we have all this overlapping information, and that's not good, right? We need our information to be spread out across all the pins. So when you open this pin mapper, right-click on Auto Map, and it gives you just a default spread. Basically, it figures out how many channels you're going to need. Universes you need per pin to accommodate all the LEDs. So then it automatically sorts, and the next one will be 4, 5, 6, 7. Next will be 8, 9, 10, 11. You can go through and modify this. Maybe you want this to be 5, and maybe you want this to be 10 and 20, and it will update accordingly. You can offset the channels, the starting channel for this universe, or for this entire pin rather. But keep in mind that everything that reaches the end of this pin gets truncated, because what gets assigned to pin 2, there's no spillover from pin 1, so it's starting fresh on each pin. So that might be a little confusing. If you've used the Pixelite before, you're probably already familiar with this, because you can do a lot of this configuration with the Advatech Pixelite configurator, which is a utility you can download and should download with the Pixelite that allows you to configure much of the same settings you see here, but on the Pixel controller side and not the side of GeoPix. So you're more than welcome to experiment with this. Maybe you rather configure your Pixel controller around GeoPix, or maybe you rather configure GeoPix using the pin mapper around the Pixelite. Just depends on the device, of course, too. So that's pin mapper, super important. Of course, when you close GeoPix, these things are saved automatically. You don't have to save them every time. When you load a new device layout, these things should already be set. So up here we have the help menu for the settings page, which you can take a look at. We have the GeoPix activation manager. We have this button here, get key, copy to clipboard, and then you can take this number that you have on your clipboard and you can paste this into your activation link that you should get through email after you purchase GeoPix. And when you paste that activation here, and you just click out of the field, it will go from demo mode to unlocked, and you will have unlimited output to your LEDs. And when you close GeoPix, this is saved automatically. Let me go ahead and show you where. So let's take the sample folder structure that you get when you download GeoPix. So we have the software, we have the config. This is basically the state of all of your UI when you exit GeoPix. So the state of everything in the settings and all the other tabs. And the key is generated upon a successful activation. And every time you launch GeoPix, it checks to see if this exists, and if it does, it automatically sets this up for you, so you don't have to enter this each time. So once you activate once, you're good to go, basically. Here we have the download manager. Right now we're at the latest version, because this is a development version, but if you have an earlier version than what's available, every time you start GeoPix, this is run automatically, and it will come up and tell you if you have an update you can download. And you can just simply click on download, and it'll give you a download link to put it on your computer. Last but not least, we have the globe. As you can guess, that takes you to the GeoPix Well, it takes you to the Environmental Design website, which from there you can go to GeoPix. And you can download, check out new products, and of course go to the shop and purchase things if you need anything. But right now, this is here, but only I can see it. This will be available to the public later as a GeoPix licensed product. So that is that. That's the settings page. Thanks for watching, and hope you try out GeoPix and let me know what you think.